get ready with me to go out tonight. But while we get ready, we're going to talk about something that I actually find really interesting. We're going to be talking about autism throughout adulthood, but more specifically, we're going to talk about romantic relationships and dating for autistic adults. Hi everyone, my name's Andreya Redwood, and I'm doing this presentation for my Autism Spectrum Disorders class. Excuse my cat. I attend the University of South Florida in St. Pete, and this course is taught by the fantabulous Professor Fox. So let's get into it. Dating by itself is extremely difficult. I'm sure anyone who is single in our generation can understand that. Compatibility, communication, the emotional ebbs and flows of meeting a new person for the first time and getting to know them, that's difficult for your normal or typical adult individual. Now imagine having ASD alongside that. Romantic relationships are a universal part of life, but autistic adults face challenges that are really misunderstood by neurotypical individuals, and that's why this problem needs to be addressed. While neurotypical individuals face the issues that I mentioned before, autistic individuals have a whole other set of issues that aren't often addressed. A lot of their challenges are communication differences, sensory needs that need to be met, as well as social expectations. I chose this topic not only because I have a special interest in dating and relationships because I'm currently in school for family and marital counseling, but because autistic individuals need more empathy and support in this regard. I feel as a society, it's our job to gain an understanding and also offer support. My thesis is that although autistic individuals face unique challenges due to differences and difficulties in social communication, structured support and tailored dating programs could improve and increase their success in romantic relationships. So in order to support my thesis, we're going to talk about the different barriers in dating for autistic individuals. According to Beto and others in a 2024 document, one of the biggest barriers for autistic adults is difficulty interpreting social and emotional cues. I feel like that is common knowledge that autistic individuals struggle with social cues, and that is amplified during the dating experience. There's also a serious lack of relationship and sexual education that reflects autistic communication styles and sensory needs. Chan and others in 2023 also emphasized the fact that autistic individuals don't have access to dating environments that feel welcoming and comfortable. Additionally, Beto and others in 2024 talked about the misconception that autistic adults are not interested in intimacy, which is completely false. They are, it's just in a different way than neurotypical individuals are used to. Just because they get there a different way doesn't mean that they don't want the same things as us. Plato's in 2024 and Rothman in 2022 with their colleagues actually came up with some amazing programs that we should implement more often. And it was to offer that structured support that autistic individuals need for relationships. The program that Plato's and colleagues came up with was called the Peers for Young Adults program. This program helped them build social and dating skills, improved ability to read nonverbal cues, and helped participants deal with rejection more constructively. That's something that neurotypical individuals need to be taught because we don't deal with rejection very well either. So the fact that they were able to teach autistic individuals to deal with rejection is a step ahead of normal or neurotypical adults. As for Rothman and colleagues, they came up with the HEARTS program. This is an online course that was organized by other autistic individuals, which allows them to relate to the issues and difficulties that they face on a deeper level. This program boosted communication, emotional regulation, and awareness of red flags, which is so important in dating, as we all know. And the fact that it was made by other autistic individuals made it more applicable because it's made by people who understand their problems. This section that supports my thesis is my favorite because it's about online dating. And I find that super interesting because it's become so much more prevalent in recent years. And according to Roth and Gillis in a 2015 document, online dating for autistic individuals allows for better pacing and control when it comes to those interactions. They have more time to react and process the exchange, whereas in person, everything is instantaneous and a lot harder to understand and respond to properly. So, that's going to reduce the anxiety, the social pressure, and allow them to have a little bit more confidence and showcase their personalities a lot better. This way, the environment is more manageable and can make individuals way more comfortable climbing into territory that's unknown, which is all dating is about. So, after going over all of the different barriers that they face, the programs that have been helpful, and how also online dating offers an alternative form of dating that could also help with the success stories of autistic individuals in search of romantic relationships, we're now going to talk about the research that opposes my thesis, which means that it's not necessarily the social difficulties and challenges that autistic individuals that causes the problems with dating, but some other factors. So this opposing research actually says that while structured dating programs can be helpful, they're not all that is needed, which of course makes sense. That's only one step in the process. Milton in 2018 also brings up the double empathy problem, which essentially states that communication issues are mutual, not just for neurodivergent individuals, but also for neurotypical ones as well. So while we're trying to point out the issues with the communication styles and social difficulties of autistic individuals, neurotypical people also have communication issues, as I mentioned before. We need help just as much as anyone else. Additionally, you and others in a 2021 document mention that the success of a relationship is dependent on both partners. There has to be understanding and effort from both sides, which again ties back into what I mentioned before, the double empathy problem. It's not just neurodivergent individuals who have these issues. There's a need for shared responsibility in romantic connections. And to put all of that on neurodivergent individuals specifically with ASD, is completely unfair and severely challenging, because as I mentioned, dating on its own is extremely difficult. And to say that the only problem is autistic individuals makes absolutely no sense. More research to oppose my thesis is a paper by Minot in 2022 that discusses how some autistic individuals prefer non-traditional relationships, and that's perfectly fine. It just as neurotypical individuals sometimes love polyamory or non-monogamous relationships. It just supports their needs better, and dating is all about meeting the needs of the people in the relationship, not necessarily fitting neurotypical norms. The neurotypical norms of a monogamous relationship can sometimes be too confining for autistic adults, and that's perfectly okay. So with my research that supplements or supports my thesis and the research that opposes my thesis, I feel like we've come full circle and can look at the bigger picture. While autistic individuals do need that support to face those social challenges that are unique to them, it's not just them. It's not just the social challenges that are the problem. It is the norms in society. It's the fact that we don't understand. It's the fact that there's no access to education. There's no access to safe environments for autistic individuals to date freely, comfortably, and in a supported manner. There have to be more resources that are made by autistic individuals to educate other autistic individuals who have these problems, but also neurotypical individuals, so that they can gain an understanding and gain empathy for the problems that autistic adults are facing in dating. So, with all of that information at hand, the implications of this research are that we need to expand dating support programs into schools, communities, online platforms, anywhere that information is accessible, so that we can all, neurotypical and neurodivergent alike, can feel more comfortable seeking out this information, educating ourselves, but also feeling inclusive. Co-creating these dating programs with autistic individuals would be completely beneficial because it gives that relatability that neurotypical individuals, as much as they try, just can't understand. So having that insight that we don't normally have would do wonders for dating across the board. Another result of applying this research would be normalizing diverse consent-based models of dating. This is so important because it would challenge the rigid norms in dating today and prove that dating doesn't have to look a specific way, and it definitely doesn't have to only be comfortable for one group of people. It should be all inclusive and fit the needs of our entire population. Now, time for my personal reflection. Looking into all of this research was actually eye-opening because I find that I relate to so many of the issues that autistic adults face that I would not have known otherwise. The fact that I struggle with the social cues, the fact that communication seems difficult and ambiguous to me, and also feeling like I don't have anywhere to go to be taught what I need to know in situations like this is completely frustrating. And I couldn't have imagined that there were other people who not only felt this way but struggled 10 times as worse as I did, trying to fit into a society that was not built to support them. I've gained so much more empathy for autistic individuals because everyone wants love, and when it feels like the odds are set against you, that can be extremely frustrating. And I think as humans in society, it's just important to support one another and set each other up for success. There has to be more effort on both ends to make sure that we're looking out for each other. And as I've mentioned before earlier in this presentation, these things are not just beneficial for autistic individuals. I feel like neurotypical individuals need some education in dating as well. So killing two birds with one stone. I think adding any sort of education and support about communication generally. It doesn't even have to be specific to autistic individuals. Just anything that can be helpful in communicating and understanding and empathizing with one another, I feel could be helpful in this regard and allow us to be more cautious, more welcoming, and more kind when it comes to things like this. So, to conclude, autistic individuals face a lot of social and emotional issues when it comes to dating and romantic relationships, but I think we've gathered with a lot of support and programs specifically cultivated with neurodivergent common issues and tendencies and needs in mind could be game-changing for them and for everyone. So of course, as I've said, success is most likely when both parties are set up for success. One way that USF could help is by offering these resources. Starting up a course specifically for dating with neurodivergent needs in mind would be amazing. Not only for autistic adults, but for neurotypical individuals as well. And having a professor that has a background in ASD or has ASD themselves would be crazy. It would be perfect. Alrighty friends, this is the final look. I have to go get dressed. I hope you enjoyed my presentation and hopefully was able to learn a thing or two about autistic adults in adulthood and in dating in general. Bye.